the Minister of Unification of Korea. And the title is Building Peace in the Korean Peninsula and the DMZ.
여러분 반갑습니다.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Lee In-young, Minister of Unification. Today we're gathered to talk about the development, environment, and peace nexus, peacemaking in Borderlands, and I'd like to convey my congratulations to you. I'd like to thank Mr. Choi Mun-soon, Governor of Gangwon-do Province, and also Mr. Paul Led, Director of UNRISD, and Madame Kang Geum-sil, representing People for Earth, and all the ladies and gentlemen who are making this occasion possible. And I also would like to thank Mr. Song Young-gil, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs and Unification Committee, and Representative Lee Kwang-jae, and also Ms. Chung Jae-soo, Administrator of Cultural Heritage Administration, and Mr. Lee Jae-gang, Vice Governor for Peace of Gyeonggi-do. When I hear about Cheolwon, it reminds me of the images of Hantan River and the Woljeong Station and the railway blocked to North Korea. I had the privilege to walk around the DMZ area with young people, especially university students, and we talked about peace and unification of the Korean Peninsula. So I'm very happy to talk about this peaceful DMZ in this meaningful area of Cheolwon. Ladies and gentlemen, since the North Korea and U.S. summit in Hanoi held last year, neither the two Koreas have made significant progress, and also the U.S. and North Korean relations have made little progress. But after the U.S. presidential election, I think the Korean Peninsula is standing at an inflection point given by this new situation. I think the inauguration of the Biden administration will be an opportunity for us. President-elect Joe Biden once said when he was a candidate that if North Korea reduces its nuclear capability, he could meet with leader Kim Jong-un. Biden also said sanctions against North Korea should be a mixture of strengthening and easing measures, and the vision for the future should be presented to the North. I believe this is quite similar to the South Korean government's comprehensive agreement and the phased complementation plan. And this means sanction flexibility probably will be exercised to North Korea for denuclearization negotiations. Biden administration seems to value the alliance, knows the value of the alliance, and respects the peace process on the Korean Peninsula, which is going on the same line with South Korean government. Therefore, we expect their policy toward North Korea to be more flexible after the inauguration of the administration in January next year. And since North Korea is aware of the change in the situation and is refraining from making high-intensity strategic provocations, North Korea is not receiving any aid from outside and is conducting 80-day war because they want to fight with their own power to deal with the COVID issue and also the environmental degradation issues. And North Korea is not responding to the U.S. presidential election results, and it's keeping an eye on the new administration policy toward the North. It's almost stopped criticizing South Korea through official media since July after it suspended its military action plan in June. And North Korea appears to be focusing on quarantine management. In particular, the two leaders of the two Koreas started exchanging letters in September, and North Korea quickly apologized for the killing occurred in the West Sea. In a speech at a major military parade not long ago, he sent an unusually conciliatory message to South Korea, and I think it's cautiously showing possible progress in inter-Korean relations. However, sometimes North Korea showed some double-sided sides. So I have reiterated, but there should be no provocations by North Korea, and that goes backward of the agreement that made by the two leaders. And also that is against the aspirations of South Korea. And if North Korea refrain from the provocations, then we can come up with the such plans that I'm going to introduce from now. If the new Biden administration launches in January, then I believe that the new administration will make a new diplomatic team. Then I think Korea's situation will be more active. So I believe this is the time for South Korea to work for lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. However, we cannot be the main actors of the Korean Peninsula peacemaking effort if we just wait. Therefore, the Korean government will work hard to enhance inter-Korean relations. And through that, we're going to enhance inter-Korean relations and also North Korean, the U.S. relations. Only then it's going to create virtuous cycle. First of all, it is important to cooperate with the new administration of the U.S. on North Korean policy. Late President Kim Dae-jung and President Clinton, former President Clinton, had built wonderful policies, good policies based on coordination and collaboration. So through this good experience, we can learn from the past, and this will create virtuous cycle. In 2002, the two leaders of South Korea and the North Korea met the first time, and the United States and North Korea adopted the US and the North Korean communique. So based on that, various issues of the two sides were dealt with, and based on the reality, these approaches are made, being dealt with phase by phase. If North Korea and the US can prepare for negotiations by looking back the history lessons, then I'm sure there will be new progress. However, it doesn't mean that the South Korean government will be in a hurry. We hope to develop inter-Korean relations in a stable manner, in a way that the Korean people sympathize with and the international community agrees. Ladies and gentlemen, our South Korean government has made efforts to implement agreements between the two Koreas with the mind that we'll keep our promise, and this will not change. Therefore, the government wants to start cooperation from the agreements between the two Koreas. At the moment, what is urgent is cooperation to deal with COVID-19. Leader Kim Jong-un also mentioned in October that the South and North Korea can join hands on the promise of overcoming the health crisis. Therefore, we hope that we can start humanitarian cooperation in disaster and healthcare and climate environment sector. If inter-Korean cooperation is achieved in the health and medical sector, North Korea will not have to impose a strong lockdown at the expense of its economy or people's livelihood. Cooperation between the two Koreas through our effective K-quarantine does not only help North Korea. It's also because for South Korea, because the fact that the land and sky of the Korean Peninsula are connected together, that infectious diseases such as malaria or hepatitis and avian flu can spread around the DMZ, and it shows that Korean Peninsula is connected to each other. Therefore, that South Korea and North Korea are connected as living community. Therefore, the safety of North Koreans is also our safety. And this kind of cooperation can be expanded to more areas infra cooperation, and humanitarian areas. For that, international community and local communities have to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, the peaceful use of DMZ enables people to understand the importance of peace. The Green Ice Band in Germany is a good example, and Cyprus and the Amazon conflict areas have shown us great examples of peaceful border usage. As you know, DMZ is showing new possibilities from the heavily armed Cold War space to the space of peace, and we are recently seeing such change. And the leaders of the two Koreas met in 2018, and they agreed to build peace zone in the DMZ. It was began with the initiative of President Moon Jae-in, who made a speech at the UN General Assembly. In the future, South Korea will create the common interests of the people of the two Koreas, and so not to undermine the meaning of the value of DMZ. If we can work together with the global community, the DMZ will be transformed into a place of peace and a place where many communities and lives live together. We'll remove numerous landmines and turn the Kaesong Industrial Complex. As we did, that we will turn the space into a land of opportunity. These efforts are already taking place in a variety of ways. We have conducted 5 businesses, and I'd like to introduce you to the project that we have worked on. And we have withdrawn GPs in DMZ for trial basis. And in 2018, both parties checked the areas whether the GPs are withdrawn, and the soldiers visited each other's area. That has a great meaning. But it's pity that most of the GPs were exploded except for leaving one. In the future, when we have a chance to remove GPs, then we will not explode them. We're going to turn them into an accommodation facility so that we can put them on the road of peace. Then I vision to have people from the world, especially young people from the world, come and sleep and stay in the old GPs. And also, we have made a simple process for the citizens to visit DMZ. In the past, we had some multi-areas to get application for visit. However, that we have made Ministry of Unification as the single application agency. And we changed the application period from 2 months to 2 weeks. And now children aged 8 above can visit the area. Because we believe that we let the small peace flow in, and this will generate bigger peace. If inter-Korean consultations move forward, we will make possible to travel freely within the JSA. And I hope one day that we can freely travel the Korean Peninsula. Third, we plan to we connected the removed GP area to connect the trail to create a path of peace. We made each trail in Gosong, Cheoron, and Paju. However, because of the African fever, that we have blocked the roads. However, the Cheoron area still is blocked. And also, we are considering to introduce the programs so that citizens can come in the civil control line and walk the peace road. And once the quarantine issue is resolved, the road to peace will be reopened, and we will also hold a program so that citizens can walk together, dreaming for unification. I walked each part of DMZ and also Santiago in Spain. And I was convinced that if more people walk along the road, the more solid the value of the road. And I hope that the DMZ will go beyond the Santiago pilgrimage site, and one day it becomes a pilgrimage site for the people around the world. And especially, I'd like to encourage young people to participate in walking the path of DMZ peace together. Fourth, at the Arrow Peak Hill that we are working to excavate the remains in Charan area in order to start reconciliation for peace beyond the tragedy of war, that the government is working hard to excavate the remains. Since April last year that we have removed landmines and started excavating, and we have found 2,360 pieces in total. Then we found 9 South Korean soldiers and 1 UN soldier. Also, we excavated 103 sets of remains of the Chinese military, and we sent them to China. In November, that also we approved 2 billion won to build Inter-Korean Cooperation Fund to build the Taiwan Peace Memorial Center next year. And in the future, the South Korean government will continue to remove landmines and excavate remains. This kind of project and also building peace center shows the firm will of the South Korean government to the world. Finally, we are conducting a survey of the DMZ and Han River estuary along with the Arrowhead High Hills and the DMZ. We are working to list them as the UNESCO World Heritage List. And also to make free navigation conditions at the mouth of the Han River. At the end of 2018, the two Koreas started working together to produce a sea map. In order to comprehensively investigate the ecological environment at the mouth of the Han River, we started our regional survey, South Korean part survey, in November. I believe DMZ has the greatest meaning and value of peace. And the value of ecology across the DMZ is world-class. It has modern cultural heritage values that include the history of war and the Cold War, but at the same time, this area has the great meaning of peace building. To this end, our government will continue to make efforts to register the area as World Heritage List this year, and will continue to investigate the DMZ and Han River estuary. Ladies and gentlemen, currently, there must be many ladies and gentlemen who are thinking whether we can actually achieve progress that we are envisioning. However, I believe that our imagination can become the reality. Depending on how much effort that we are putting at our dreams will become reality faster. We need to prepare for the reality and will actively respond to the changing environment. Then our dreams will come faster. South Korea and North Korea and the United States have to work together, and the South Korean government will do our best to make a firm step. In the following forum, that I look forward to hearing from your discussions so that we can discuss the real solutions that can make DMZ more peaceful. All the participants of the forum, I wish your health and happiness. And this is the end of my speech. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That was In Young Lee, the Minister of Unification of Korea.